Lagro, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Population of around 600?
I think if you go township wide, it's right around maybe 400 to 600. I think once you go inside the city limits, I think it's more like maybe 120 to 150.
So
Something like
Lagro
that.
city limits is around 150 or less.
Yeah,
And then the township is around 600.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
And you grew up in Lagro.
Yep, pretty much born and raised. My folks all kind of from the Lagro area. My mother's side, they were dairy farmers in Lagro, and that went back several generations. Actually, both sides of my family, there's documentation they were back in Lagro almost since the founding of the town. So went back along with there. My mom and dad actually lived in Andrews, which is just down the way towards Huntington. I think we lived there maybe until I was like 2, and then they built a house where I live now. So kind of moved back to Lagro, back to where all the family was about that time, which was, what was that, about 83 or something like that, 1983.
You have a love for that community. What is it about Lagro that you love that just runs deep for you?
I think it's just a lot of obviously family history, just the community members in general. You come from a small town, you get to know everybody, you get to where you kind of depend on other people in your community. But yeah, it was just a long generation of kind of growing up in that atmosphere, that small town vibe.
It sounds almost as if it's this nucleus of community and friendship that has kept you there even longer. Today we're joined with Justin Gillespie. He is not only an entrepreneur, a volunteer, but a longtime resident of his hometown, Lagro, Indiana. So we're glad to have you, Justin.
Glad to be here.
And it sounds like the community of Lagro is deep-rooted. It almost runs through your veins.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Definitely could say that, right?
Yeah.
On definitely your mom's side, right, is...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and my dad's side, like I said, a lot of that side also came from Lagro. I mean, my grandfather, I think, graduated Lagro High School on my dad's side, but they ended up moving more towards the Wabash area as they got older, but they all went to Northfield, and so did my mom's side. Most of them all went to Northfield. My mom's side, some of them graduated Lagro Elementary, Lagro High School, before they tore it down. And so, yeah, just a lot of deep roots in that community and a lot of, I guess you say, family pride.
Yeah.
Even where I live today, it's still on a parcel of the old family farm from, like I said, way back when. So it's just, yeah, that personal family ties and just that small town community vibe. So
When people describe you, you may or may not know this.
okay.
Hold on, buckle up. When people describe you, though, sincerely, it is someone who has grit, hustle, and passion. Those are words that really, I think, do describe you really well with your commitment to seeing the face of Lagro continue to grow in a direction that not only is good for a legacy of your family, where your family came from,
Mm-hmm.
but those who have called Lagro home all their lives, and making sure that their quality of life and place is one of which that they can enjoy generationally also.
Mm-hmm.
You at one point decided to open a restaurant
Yes.
in downtown Lagro.
Yes.
How did that happen? How did this young man decide, okay, yeah, I think I can do this now in a population of 150
Right.
and town proper?
Well, it wasn't part of my original plan. So, a little bit longer story. So I was involved in the Wabash River Trail, helping Amy Ford trailblaze that whole event. And kind of after that, it was like, well, we're doing this to bring back economic development in the community. And I was trying to talk other people into investing in the community. Say, we're doing all these big things. I thought my plate was already full, helping out with the trail. It's like, well, we need that next step to start coming in. So I was kind of being a cheerleader for that, which nobody was really taking me up on. And then there happened to be a couple properties where the Speakeasy, the 950 Speakeasy, where that is. And there was a couple properties that came up for sale. And I was like, well, nobody else is going to do this. I think I'll do it. And I ended up meeting another long-time Lagro former resident, Beverly Van Haften, who became my business partner on our Airbnb. That was the first investment. We bought that, a little old canal house. I think it's about 500 square feet. We decided this is going to be like a historical renovation, preservation project. We did that. We decided to make it an Airbnb, but the place next door, which is currently the Speakeasy, was in pretty sad shape. We ended up acquiring it so we could fix it up because we're like, well, nobody's going to stay in our little Airbnb if we have this sad shaped condition building right next to it, you know. So we bought that and we were deciding what to do with it. And I was like, well, the town doesn't have a bar or a restaurant anymore. You know, if we're trying to bring people back to the community, that's kind of an important thing to have. It kind of brings people together. We used to have an old cafe in Lagro, which that was always the place where you go in for, you know, Saturday, Sunday morning breakfast and visit with your neighbors and visit with some other folks coming in from Wabash or other communities. And then that had closed down years ago. So that was something I kind of wanted to bring back. It was just that place where locals could come to, you know, visit with their neighbors, have a drink, have a meal, and then also hopefully, the goal was to set it up so where people outside our community would be drawn in just because it was a neat place to be.
So if I hear you correctly, the Wabash River Trail was an investment project that happened that became a catalyst of seeing the community of Lagro in a different light. Would you agree with that? And that Wabash River Trail connects the city of Wabash now to the town of Lagro. It's about 7 miles. Does that sound about right?
6.5, 7 miles roughly, yeah.
Of paved green space that follows the Wabash River naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful Indiana landscape, you know, with the wildlife is preserved. The flowers are preserved. It's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely.
To connect.
Mm-hmm.
So that was this first capital investment by private developers.
Yeah, that was pretty much mostly privately funded on that one. I mean, we got a couple state grants, but like I said, majority of it was privately funded. And that was really was the catalyst, I would say, because Lagro, before that, we lost our manufacturing years ago. The town was kind of in decline on that aspect, and the River Trail project definitely gave our downtown especially a nice facelift. We fixed up a lot of sidewalks, a lot of blighted properties.
And the town of Lagro, with the resources that it has available to it, the town board was also trying to do projects with the upkeep of the community building and the baseball diamond. So for the town of Lagro to see an outside investor also see the value in the town.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Partnered.
I mean, there was for years, we've had a great town board, fair board, parks board. We've had a lot of local community members really engaged and still have a great street fair. I mean, they always kept all that stuff up.
But it was that nice to see somebody outside.
This was kind of the big, I would say, investment from the outside that, you know, we've been trying to get for a long time. Somebody else to come in and see the potential of our community and help us kind of get to that next level and help put us, I would say, back on the map, so to speak.
Sure. Because now there's a greenway that's instantly connecting people all the time in a different way.
Oh, absolutely.
And so then you and your business partner, Beverly, saw these blighted properties located along this multi-million-dollar private investment, essentially along the beautiful Wabash River, and opened the Riparian House.
Yep.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yep, Riparian House.
Riparian House, yeah. And that is, I've seen it, it's stunning. It is
thank you.
Excellent location. The way that you have it styled and decorated is perfect. And it is. It's easily accessible to the Wabash River Trail, kayaking and outdoor adventure, close to the Salamone State Forest or State Park, and then right next door to the 950 Speakeasy. And so this property next to the Riparian House was blighted.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And you thought, okay, let's start connecting these experiences together one by one. So for the listeners, you also work a full-time job at Ford Meter Box, and you've been there for how long?
I've worked at Ford Meter Box pretty much essentially right out of high school and right out of college.
Yeah.
I did summer student there for, this is 20 years ago, so I've been there for 20 years. And that was another thing. My family's very deep-rooted in Ford Meter Box. My great-grandfather worked there, my grandfather, my dad. Yeah. So I was just the next generation to come along. So, yeah, I've been working there for Yeah, right around 20 years.
So all the while you're working this full-time position at Ford Meter Box, and you've decided, okay, let's transform this blighted property
Right.
into a restaurant. And
Yep.
not only a restaurant, it's going to be a bistro and a speakeasy.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there was a lot of nights where pretty much clocked out at 4 meter box, came home, changed, and went down and started swinging a hammer and trying to pull these places back together. And thankfully, I have a lot of good friends that I was able to talk into and helping me out with that along the way, and some family members. And even though I think some of them pretty much thought I'd lost my mind,
Sometimes I still think you've lost your mind.
right?
Sometimes I still think you clock out at Ford Meter Box and are back down at your restaurant,
That's-
making sure everything's
It's
still.
true a lot of nights.
Yeah,
Making
running
sure the
smoothly.
ship is sailing and everything. Yeah, absolutely. So, but when I started it, I guess I just kind of had this visualization of how, like I said, that whole property can tie together. I was thinking, like, what's going to set us apart from every other place in the county or in this region of the state. Being right along the Wabash River, and then especially along the River Trail now, I was thinking, well, I don't know of any establishment really in our area that's got a great outdoor space, a full-on visual of the river, that just outdoor vibe, and also being family friendly. We do have a bar, we do have areas that are 21 and older, but I just told myself, it's like, no, I want my friends that have kids to be able to come
Yeah.
down, and my families that have kids that come down and still, like I said, be a kid-friendly environment, but we still do have our adult spaces where people can kind of get away from that and have a good time. And so far, knock on wood, it's worked out well that way. I mean, that part of it's definitely come together how I wanted it to. And then the other part with the speakeasy that I really take pride in is the fact that we do get a lot of people in from 45 minutes away, an hour away from Fort Wayne, Indianapolis. They'll come in and they feel right at home, even though they've never stepped foot in the place a day before in their life. It's just got that welcoming environment to it, and that's really what I wanted to see. That just, doesn't matter if you have small pockets or big pockets, or you're a farm boy or a city girl. You can all come here and relate and have a good time.
That's that parallel back to the sense of community that makes you love Lagro so much already. When you do walk into either the upstairs, the bistro side, or the lower level speakeasy side, your local or your regulars do make everyone feel welcome.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so you start to feel, even if it's your first time, by the time you leave, you feel like you're almost folded into this community.
Oh, absolutely.
In a sincere way. You almost feel like now you're the stakeholder. Like, how do we get more people to come to Lagro, right?
Right.
It took a lot of work
Yeah.
and a lot of patience for growth for you to get to where you have not only built consistent entertainment options
Yeah.
for the restaurant, so that restaurants are generally, especially in the Midwest in the winter months, a little slower, and you have some seating that's outside that's unusable.
Yep.
So you have done a really great job of diversifying your entertainment offerings
Thank you.
throughout the year,
Right.
that keep your crowd. So you might think, well, I've already eaten at the Speakeasy, I was just there. You've got this new reason to keep people coming back over and over again. So a little bit about how you program your weeks, because I know you have certain events that generally take place.
Right. I mean, generally our weeks, I mean, we do have our different meal specials throughout the weeks, and depending on how well they do, we might change that up a little bit. The weekends, we definitely, we have a smoker on site, so we usually added a smoke special on the weekends. That's either ribs or meatloaf is a popular one,
So good.
brisket, things of that
So good.
nature. So we always try to stay fresh with that and change it up. But yeah, as far as entertainment goes, we brought back doing karaoke and having a karaoke DJ night for Friday nights. And that was another one. It's like, a lot of people like doing it, but there's just didn't recall too many places around the town or around county that actually did that anymore. So I was like, well, let's bring that back. And so far, we've had a pretty good following as far as the karaoke nights go. And that's always fun to kind of kick back and let your hair down and everybody just sing and have a good time. And we don't expect to go on American Idol by any means. So
Some do. They think
some are pretty good.
Yes, some
Yep.
are. They could make it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even the ones that aren't so good, we still cheer them on
That's
and make them
right.
feel like they're a rock star. So it's always fun to watch. Saturday nights, we generally bring in more of a live entertainment, like as far as it could be either a one-person band or a full-on stage band. Usually we stick to the smaller groups because we are an outdoor space, and if we do a chance happen to have some bad weather, I can always kind of squeeze them in the inside, and we don't have to cancel the whole night or anything. And knock on wood, the 4 years we've been doing it, I don't think we've ever had to cancel a show or anything
Yeah.
like that. So that's always been good. But yeah, like I think that's a nice draw. People that follow those bands like to come in and try a new place out and check everything out and
Trivia
experience
nights,
something
right?
else. Yeah, we do trivia nights. Usually the last Wednesday of the month, we'll have some trivia nights. And I've been trying to get different people to host it. You know, they kind of bring their own family or friend base in with them. And that seems to be going over pretty well right now. So I think the thing with the restaurant bar business in general is that you always have to be ready to kind of pivot to what the public kind of wants. I mean, you know, we always know things change over time, so I think you just have to be willing to try something out. If it doesn't work, then you just kind of pivot to something else, and then eventually hope you find something that sticks. So
You have done a great job of listening to what your customers are looking for. But one of the things that you do is you go above and beyond when you're there, which is often.
right?
You check on your guests, you check on your
Oh yeah,
diners, you go from each table, you make sure people are having a good time. And I think that sets an example for the rest of your team.
I hope so.
You know, that they see that you aren't just barking orders and sitting off all by yourself, that you are just as involved in this business operations. I've seen you running the smoke yourself. I've seen you
Right,
delivering food. I've seen
right.
you carrying drinks to tables, clearing dirty dishes.
Hmm.
And you do that in such a way that builds relationship with all the people that come. And you have grown your friend list exponentially
Oh
through this
yeah,
business. I mean, the number of people that you now have in your friends list is grown quite a bit.
yeah. That's one thing when you're front and center. It definitely expands that, and you become a face that seems like everybody knows. I've been to Fort Wayne now, and I bumped into somebody and they're like, "Aren't you the guy that owns a speakeasy?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
That's
I
me.
can't believe you recognize me, but thanks. Yeah.
And I would imagine at times it sometimes can be hard, especially in the beginning, for consistent staffing because you're open for lunch and for dinner.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so, and it's not just your small business that has trouble sometimes finding employees. That's a problem that we've talked about in other
Hmm.
episodes, just how important it is to develop and grow that population base and develop our workforce.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're seeing some of those developments continue to take place in Lagro. You also serve on the Lagro Canal Foundation.
Hmm.
And that organization was recently designated in Indiana Main Street, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
So that organization that you also serve on has
Right.
taken on some improvement projects as well and has led to even more investment, private
Yep.
investment into
Hmm.
the downtown area of Lagro.
Well, and I always kind of compare investing in a new community and kind of what's happened in Lagro is a lot of people will see the potential in something. I mean, they can kind of see the direction you're going for, but it's almost nobody wants to be the first person in the pond. And myself and some of the members of the LCF or the LCF in general, the Lagro Canal Foundation, they started doing their investing and they, you know, taking on some of the older blighted buildings that were historic, but also at the risk of imploding pretty much or being
Mm-hmm.
torn down, and decided that organization wanted to do a lot of historical preservation and kind of keep our old buildings intact. And then hopefully, you know, like we've been able to do, bring in some investors and help continue the growth in our little small town. But yeah, and since then it's kind of gotten, I would say, a little contagious, or at least kind of created that domino effect. You know, even some of the families that have been there a while, I mean, you see them starting to take more pride in their homes and, you know, starting to either fix some things that maybe hadn't been fixed for a while and kind of giving them, you know, their own little sense, I think, of community pride in that sense. And there's been other people that decided it's like, well, everybody else is doing it. I want to be a part of this too. And let's
Yeah.
jump in and find a house or a commercial property and let's invest in this little small town. So that's been kind of fun to watch as well. And it's kind of exciting to see all the changes and all the improvements taking place. You know, we went from a town of pretty much no restaurant, you know, no bar.
Yeah.
I mean, we always had the American
It's a
Legion.
staple. It
Absolutely.
is a
And
staple.
they do a great job. You know, they've always been really active in the community, and that's always been great.
But
And,
they can't do it by
oh,
themselves.
absolutely not.
Right.
And, you know, and then you jump forward to today, and then now you got, the Speakeasy, you got half a dozen almost Airbnbs, and then you have a breakfast facility now, and which is a great place to, again, to come down, have breakfast, and visit with your neighbors.
Station One Firehouse,
Station
right?
One Firehouse, and then you have the Canal Creamery. Another investor came to town and invested in an ice cream shop. And not that we didn't have some others try to do some things before. We had the interurban ice cream and
Sure.
collectibles, that they started up, and they were kind of the lone man, so to speak, for
They
a
were by
lot of years,
themselves,
and had
sure.
a great business. And they took it as far as they wanted to take it, and then decided they were getting out of that game. And then we had the Canal Creamery, thank goodness, kind of came in and stepped into that void as far as having a nice little place you could, again, take your kids to and have a nice little treat. So that's been great to see. So
Your role at such a young age, you're welcome for calling you young, by the way.
thanks, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You were, I mean, you started this journey with the Wabash River Trail. Do you remember about how many years ago that was?
Wabash River Trail, I think we started around 2015.
So we're talking in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the investment of a paved river trail, right?
Yep.
We've had some other investment with, the interurban was there and it served for great purpose while it was there as an ice cream and hot dog and homemade buns. It was awesome while it was there. And then we saw your investment in the Riparian House.
Yep.
And then you just saw the investment with the 950 Speakeasy and Bistro.
Mm-hmm.
And then the LCF purchases the last few remaining downtown buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And still within this time frame found another private investor to purchase those, correct? Well, the LCF got those buildings somewhat stabilized. Is that right? Cleaned them out?
They kind of went to the extent of getting all the exterior facade kind of restored
Yeah.
and put back together, the roofs put back together, more of the structural components getting, to where it was a structurally sound building again, essentially.
Gotcha.
And then it just kind of came down to how far did that particular organization want to take that project before, they found somebody else to invest. And thankfully they found some investors. And now, you went from a building that was getting ready to be torn down. Now they have, 3 apartments and 2 townhouses a part of that building, another little storefront. I think they even have plans to potentially have a space for a potential restaurant or other storefronts in there now. So that was a big change to downtown. The LCF even had another historical house that sits on top of the hill, the Hopewell house that is now. That's another Airbnb that sleeps like, 12 people. And that house, again, historical, but at the time they got it or was donated to them, I mean, it was at risk of possibly being torn down. I mean, it had some major structural roof issues,
Yeah.
even though the previous owner that donated it, they did a lot of structural work themselves
Sure.
and trying to preserve it as much as possible. But so yeah, I mean, they just kind of like checked off one project at a time, and now they've got another project that they're trying to bring another grocery into the community, which we had one in town when I was a kid.
I like how you keep referring to they, but you're a part of the they. You're part of the Lagro
No,
Canal Foundation.
yeah, I put my
I know
little
that
sweat equity into it too.
I know that you are really careful not to take, and you would never take all the credit. I use the term all very loosely. I completely understand that there is a team of volunteers
Oh,
not only
absolutely.
involved with the Lagro Canal Foundation, with the Town of Lagro board, the fair board. You talked about each of those. I know that there is this huge group of volunteers that serve in different capacities. So when you say they decided to take
Right.
over, it's, and what happens is the Lagro Canal Foundation has chosen to start tackling some of these blighted areas as projects and then hoping to pair that then with investors. And that's what's
Yeah.
worked successfully. You aren't doing it all at once. It's one by one.
Right.
And the Lagro Canal Foundation is 100% volunteer driven.
Yep.
All of the funds used to acquire properties are all via donations or special event fundraisers that the Lagro Canal Foundation hosts.
Yep.
That allows them to invest in a project, hopefully find an investor, and then find the next project. So
Yep.
Lagro Canal Foundation isn't sitting on its laurels,
No.
just waiting, saying, okay, we've done our part, we're done now.
Right.
And now you're talking about how the Lagro Canal Foundation is working on bringing a grocery back.
Yep. Which, like I said, it's been a really neat thing to see, and it's been a something I wanted to see come back to the community as well. I mean, like I said, when I was growing up, I can remember going into the grocery and, just kind of getting the essentials to go home. And then unfortunately that little business went by the wayside. But so, yeah, I think that it'll be exciting to kind of see that come back and have that amenity back in our town again. But yeah, as far as, talking about the other people involved, and I think that's the key to the success the town is having now, because if you didn't have a active town board, active fair board, we have our volunteer fire department,
You're
which
awesome.
does an amazing job. I mean, all those community members, if it wasn't for us all kind of wanting the same things out of our community and wanting to go the same directions with our community, it'd be a big challenge. I mean, it'd be a lot of roadblocks, unnecessary roadblocks. But fortunately, I think we all want to see good things happen in our town. So I think for the most part, I mean, we might disagree on things here and there, but
Sure, that's healthy.
but I think for the most part, everybody wants the same things. So we're definitely willing to work together to make those all hopefully come to fruition. So it's been great.
The cafe, the beloved cafe, which is now the grocery.
Yeah.
For years, it was always referred to as the cafe building.
Yeah, Lagro Cafe. Yep, yep.
And it sat empty for so long before the Lagro Canal Foundation acquired it. And interestingly, and I'm sure you and the Lagro Canal Foundation are aware, Lagro is considered a food desert, for those. And so this not only will be a nice amenity, but it's a necessary amenity
Oh, sure.
to the quality of life in place for those who continue to choose to call Lagro home. Now, the location is ideal. Right?
Oh, yeah. Front and center downtown,
It
for
is.
sure.
And recently, so the Lagro Canal Foundation, this is what I love about your group. You're all ages, right? And you do a lot of your own demo work. You're rolling up your sleeves. You're in the side of these properties, dust
Yep.
masks on, shovels, tearing down old lath board. And
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we schedule these workday events, and I'm actually kind of surprised that people even keep coming back, because there's been a couple of times where it's like, I think somebody one time actually went through the floor. Thankfully, it wasn't a 10-foot drop by any means. They kind of just went into the crawl space, but still, it was like, at the time, it was kind of scary. But they kept coming back, and so I think they just like to see the changes and what's going on, and they want to be a part of it, thankfully. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that just haven't been afraid to roll up their sleeves and get dirty, and if it wasn't for that, we'd be years behind where we are today, for sure, if it wasn't for those type of people. So
those risks that the organizations that, like Lagro Canal Foundation, are taking, would you take on a project which is this future grocery store, and you've secured the exterior, you've given it new windows, you've painted it. It, like you said earlier, it allows for prospect investors to imagine now what this space could be.
right.
And they see it a lot differently than what it was when it was just blighted and left.
Right.
Forgotten. It looked forgotten.
And then I guess that's something I've learned over the years working on some of these projects. Just, I've always been the type of person, I can see a blank canvas and then imagine what's going to fit into that space. And I've realized a lot of people cannot do that. You kind of have to show them the completed picture before they really see what they need to see or what you want them to see. And that was the same way with the Speakeasy. Like I said, it was in such bad shape. A lot of my friends and family was like, what are you doing?
What?
Then,
you don't need this, Justin.
Right.
You have a great job.
Right.
You have a great home.
Right.
You do not need to do this.
Right.
And yet you did.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too stems from, I spent some time working out of state and traveling a lot, and I'd always go to these small towns in other areas of the state or other parts of the country, and it was almost the same setting as my little small town, but they had figured it out, like how to capitalize on the fact that they have, we have a state forest right out our backyard and a gorgeous river, and being in a river valley setting, it's not just flat cornfields. I mean, it's just a nice setting, and it was always the question, I was like, well, if they can have it, why can't we have it? And
Sure.
and I think it was just that little bit of that drive to say, I want my small town to be like this. I want to be able to walk down the street and enjoy my community more and have things I can do or places to eat or, just things to fill up your day kind of a thing, float the river and stuff like that.
It has to be fun for you who have always loved Lagro to see others come to your community and choose it now for their place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, like I said, becoming more of a destination town, which is a lot of the intent. But yeah, you have people now that are actually looking for homes to fix up, and another, Levon Sparling and her family. But Levon, she's amazing because she's a great grant writer. We'd be nowhere without Levon right
Oh,
now with
very
what she's
talented
been able to
grant
brought
writer.
to us. And but her and her siblings have all purchased their little project homes and either created them to be their forever home or an Airbnb, an investment property. And so they've done a tremendous job helping continue that facelift of the town and kind of bringing it back to life. And there's, a lot of other names that have done similar projects. And I mean, there's a house right now getting built, and it's, first time I can think a stick-built home has been done in Lagro since I don't know when,
You could go to Lagro, and there are several key pieces that start to tie it all together. You can go to Lagro on a Wednesday night, and there's a party at the public pavilion going on.
Mm-hmm.
You have a group that's come in and is eating at the Speakeasy. Canal Creamery has got cars lined up and people
Mm-hmm.
eating at their picnic tables. If it's a weekend, they're shopping at Geronimo,
Right.
In the Hopewell House has class reunions, family reunions, wedding clients staying there. It's really neat to see what a decade of dreaming big
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of sweat equity
Oh, yeah.
can do for a community. And it does make it a destination that is now inspiring other small communities to say and to think, Lagro has done this. They have rallied around an idea that they could be more.
Right.
And it's not like you're ever going to be, Lagro's never going to be what it was in regard to the fact that
Right.
why would you want to go backward?
Right.
It's being the best that it can be, taking advantage of all of those amenities that you mentioned in the natural amenities. And now that Lagro's inspiring, even just within Wabash County, we have communities like Rowan and La Fountain
yeah,
who are
absolutely.
dreaming big and saying,
Mhm.
okay, Lagro, how did you do this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great thing right now is, you're right. You're seeing a lot of this small town revitalization. I think you're seeing a lot of people, I think, young kids, they move to the big city and they're like, yeah, there's a lot of action here, but now I'm kind of getting into family mode. And yeah, I'd like to kind of move back to a smaller place where, like I said, everybody knows your name, you know your neighbors, and that sense of community and other kids playing together. And so I think you're starting to see that kind of trend taking place here in the last few years, maybe, is people moving out of the bigger towns and coming back to the smaller communities. And again, another thing I love about Lagro and living there, it's, we're a small town, but I'm not that far from all the big action as far as like Fort Wayne or Indianapolis or Wabash.
If you need a baseball game, you
Right.
can head to Fort Wayne. It's not that far. Sure.
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely. But I can come back to a small town where I can stretch out and sprawl out and don't feel like I'm so claustrophobic in the big town. And so it's
You have
yeah.
deer running through your yard,
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and there's little happy turtles along the river
Oh
trail.
yeah, and you're watching the eagles flying down the river
Absolutely.
and everything. So it's that's kind of my vibe right there.
When you were dreaming the layout of the Speakeasy, that's one thing that you did extremely well, and I'm sure on purpose by design, is the family side, the upper level or the first floor, has a balcony that overlooks the Wabash River. And then the lower level or the Speakeasy then also opens up, and that's where your outdoor area is, right along that river trail. And it showcases the eagles, flying up and down the river, and you never know if you're going to see a beaver or whatever running
Right,
across. Because the
right.
Wabash River Trail is right out the
Oh,
back
yeah.
door of your property. And the last time I had dinner there casually, I can't tell you the number of cyclists that had
Oh,
ridden in,
absolutely.
parked their bikes. You've made it easy that you've made an entrance off of the river
Right.
trail. Smart. And they have something to eat, something to drink, hop back on their bikes, and then head back wherever their next destination is. I've seen the same thing happen with the river trail at the Station 1 Firehouse. I
Oh,
was there
yeah.
for a breakfast meeting. All these cyclists came in. They biked in from outside of Wabash County, and that's one of
Oh,
their,
yeah.
they plan their stop there as part of their ride.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely been, I guess, kind of the touching thing about everything that's going on is you'll actually have people now that, we came specifically to ride the trail, and then we just found all these great little destination restaurants now, and I'm going back home to tell my friend, and you have conversations with them, and they're just awestruck about this stuff being in a little small town like Lagro, and, you know, who would have thought to do that kind of a thing. And it's
Sure.
like, well, I hope more people think to do stuff like that. So,
You're right about the community, the sense of community pride really even flourishing and blossoming even more. My father-in-law, as you know, grew up in Lagro,
right,
has a heart for Lagro. He lives in Florida now. He retired in Florida. But every time he comes home or back to Indiana to visit, he always reaches out to your mom and
right,
says, Beth, we've got to get together at the Speakeasy. And then she gives him a tour of all the improvements that
right,
are taking place. And it really makes him feel happy to see this community that was so instrumental in his shaping into adulthood. Now it is continuing to thrive and is
right,
doing that now for that next generation.
right.
And the legacy that's being built starts with rolling up your sleeves sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great. Like I said, the stories like your father-in-law coming back and just, like I said, seeing it come back. But what you were just saying, there's people getting involved, and I think that's always an ongoing struggle. I remember when I was growing up, and it was always, well, there's nothing to do in Wabash County. Let's move here. Let's move there. There's nothing to do, and it's like, well, if you get involved and help making things to do, then the next generation is going to be involved and they're not going to say those same things. And I think even over the years, you look at Wabash County as a whole from when probably we grew up,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's tons to do now in
Mm-hmm.
town. And
And maybe there always was at some level, but we weren't as involved.
true.
And I think we are trying to do a better job of getting young professionals more looped in. And
Right.
maybe that conversation, starts at the high school level of some sort of
Yeah.
more
And
even.
I think it does. And that's where I think it starts too, is just that even at the high school kid level is getting them more involved in the community and trying to generate that community pride
Mhm.
to the point where they're like, yeah, I might go away for college or something like that, but I want to move back here. I want to bring my kids, but this is where my family is, and I want my kids to grow up around that environment. Or it's maybe I don't even, maybe not necessarily college bound, but I just, hey, I want to stay here and work and build my future and
Right.
get involved. So, yeah, I absolutely think that definitely starts at the younger generation
Yeah.
and trying to get them more in tune to what's going on in their own community and things of that nature. So,
You also, that made me think about the Junior Wabash River Defenders,
hmm,
which is a young group that are helping to take care of the Wabash River, understanding the importance of river care and quality of not, littering and all those
hmm.
things. You also served on the Wabash River Defenders River Cleanup, didn't you, for quite some time?
Yeah, I was there, I think, since the beginning back in, what was it, 2009 maybe?
It's been a long time. Yeah.
I was definitely on the first cleanup and hosted a team every year until I started doing the speakeasy. And it's like, well, I had to pick one to give up. So that
Yeah.
was unfortunately the one. But no, that was an amazing thing to see at a county-wide level. All these people going from county line to county line in the river, wading up to their hips and sometimes even over their heads, and just getting canoes and kayaks and home built rafts and going down the river and just literally picking out trash and garbage and tires. And I remember that first picture. I mean, there was a mountain of tires that we
Yeah.
had pulled out of that river and just a mountain of garbage. And every time I flipped the river since, especially going through Huntington, starting in Huntington coming down, and not that Huntington has a bad stretch of river, but I mean, you could definitely see the visibility of there's just not as much debris in the river, and the fact that people still do it and take pride in doing that.
Keeping it clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I always thought was an amazing thing.
I think Adam is going to actually do an episode about the Wabash River Defenders
Hmm.
and what impact they've made since their first inception and being known as the largest river cleanup in the state of Indiana. And I
Absolutely.
remember you being a part of that and knowing that the Wabash River was a natural amenity that
Hmm.
the town of Lagro really could lean into.
Oh, absolutely.
And it starts with, obviously, at that point, it was just getting it cleaned up and taken care of and made sure that now that it is, and the wildlife is preserved that lives
Right.
along it with the addition of the river trail, you have chosen to be actively involved in the Lagro community. One, you got deep roots there. I've also seen you maybe might not call it mentoring, but you have such a heart to make sure other entrepreneurs, other businesses open and have success too. And so is that just something that you feel like if one business does well, I'm going to do well? I mean, I know that, Julie with Four Partners, her business is not in Lagro. It's
Right.
in Wabash, the city of Wabash. And yet you two, you have walked alongside her as she was opening and launching her business as well.
No, I think that was just a realization that not every business, I mean, while you might be running your own business entity, you're still kind of all linked together as far as that goes. And, I'll have people coming into my restaurant, and I know they're from out of town, and I'm talking to them, but they're looking for their next adventure. And I'm trying to point, it's like, well, go into Wabash and check out Four Partners in Crime, or check out Moondog, or check out the 20 or Market Street. I mean, there's all these other great places to go, or the YMCA, the Honeywell Center, trying to taking a show. And it's kind of, for me, it's more of a thing like, well, if I can get you coming back through the area, odds are you might stop in and see me again.
Right.
Or you just remember that, and just, that's something you tell your friends about. It's like, oh my gosh, we went to this place to eat and we were pointed all these other directions. And because even myself, I mean, I love my business and place, but I don't like pizza every day of the week,
I mean,
and I know
It's
other people
very
are like
good.
that. And so,
So good though.
and so, yeah, I guess I'm just trying to create a good memory. And like you said, and it's about partnerships, and like you said, promoting your neighbors down the street, like the Canal Creamery or the Station One Firehouse right there in Lagro. It's, yeah, I'm going to point those things out so people come back to our community more often. I mean, I want that repeat business, whether you're coming from me or my neighbors. That's something I'd like to see. And yeah, and I think the more options and variety you give people, especially in a small town, the more reason they want to come back. I think that's what makes some of the bigger towns successful. Obviously, I know I can go to Fort Wayne and have many options of things I want to do, or at my fingertips, and you get to small towns and it becomes more limited. So I think it's important to kind of promote your neighbors and try to bring more people into that community, so to speak. So,
And I think too that your heart also is that you all are generally experiencing the same sort of struggles. Your inventory costs go up. You're trying to find the right price point. You're trying to program entertainment that costs. You're
right.
trying to figure out is it potential for us to share labor pools? Is it, I noticed that
Sure.
you're all this network of entrepreneurs and business restaurateurs that are trying to figure out, we've probably
Yeah.
got some shared strategies that we could talk through to make us all
Right.
stronger and better.
Oh, absolutely.
Or are
I
you
mean,
just, I need to vent now and I need somebody who
well,
can
there's that
understand.
too. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I need someone who can understand what I'm
Yeah,
going through right now.
Yeah, I'm having a stressful week, and I know you can relate. So,
Yeah, and I'm coming to your place.
right, getting away from mine, I'm coming to
Yeah.
see you.
And sometimes it gives you a place of clarity too,
Sure.
right? Because there's this relatability who with someone who may be having that same experience at the time in that same line of work.
Oh, absolutely. And, and yeah, and some of the other business owners and myself have a good working relationship. And then it's kind of important to talk, I think, to one another, because, if they're going to start bringing, let's say, a particular band in, well, it's like, well, I might not do that same style of band on the same night, because I know I'm going to be in direct competition with what you're doing, and I don't want to necessarily purge from either of us. I want to give somebody else a different option. Or it's maybe our struggles are with food costs and everything else, and talking, are you having the same problem? Is it just me, or is it kind of an industry-wide thing?
Right.
And trying to gauge those types of things.
And with some of the changes that are coming, like the new change with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. I mean, that's going to be something new for you to navigate as you go forward as well, and to try to understand too.
Right.
Some of those legal changes that start to come out that you're all going to be experiencing for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm hopeful that some of those changes will be positive in the restaurant industry. I mean, I'm hoping people will start thinking, being a server or bartender is not a bad career choice.
Sure.
And
In Europe,
yeah.
actually, a lot of times that is their career. Like you go to European restaurants and bistros, and that is their full-time career role, and that's what they do, and they
Absolutely.
retire from that. And so you're right, that might change the perspective of the restaurant industry as a career
Sure.
investment.
Absolutely. And I think it's just important from the level, like I said, comparing the service industry or the construction, and I guess maybe the skilled trades industry
Yeah.
with college. There's different choices, and people, I think, geared to different directions. I mean, I'm not going to say every kid is not geared, not that they're not capable, but college isn't the only choice. There's other successful career
Right.
paths you can have in life that doesn't require a 4-year degree.
Absolutely.
If that's your desire and that's your goal, then go get it.
Absolutely.
But the fact that, hey, I'm content being a bartender, and that's a good skilled trade. Not everybody can be a bartender.
Nope.
Just like not everybody can be a chef, servers.
Right.
I mean, even being a great server requires a whole different skill set,
Sure.
because, that's requiring yourself to make your customers happy to be where they are, fixing all the problems. They're having a bad day, and how can I smooth that over so they're having a good day, and
Right.
that's on me. And the more you got that skill set down, the more business you're going to bring to yourself as far as your customer base. And that's a skill set I think it's not dead, but it's just something that it'd be nice to see more people or more take pride in that kind of a thing, I
Respect
guess.
that level of employment versus thinking it's just a stepping stone.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That it's actually could be a career path for someone to
Sure.
make a livable wage on. Absolutely. Your restaurant, your heart, again, is one of collaboration and partnership. Visit Wabash County partners a lot with the Speakeasy
Yep.
and your team. I mean, we have brought custom tours to your location. You've always leaned into that partnership with Visit Wabash County. Why do you think those types of creative partnerships are important?
Well, again, as a county as a whole, and what the Visit Wabash County is doing, with you bring a lot of people in from outside our community, and the more you can give them a great positive experience, the more they're going to be apt to want to come back. And again, that's why I like to showcase other people, because as much as I'd love to say, oh, you're going to come back to my place every single time, I know that's not true.
Right.
Or
Sure.
it's not going to happen.
That's
I
the
mean,
reality of it.
right. So, but if I can get you coming back to this area more and more and having a great time, well, next time you might bring your friends with you, and you might talk about us at your family get together or something. We went to Wabash and we had this amazing time. We were on the trolley, and we went to all these destinations.
And we can't believe
and,
Lagro looks like this now,
Yeah.
or there's all these restaurants.
Right, and everybody just treated us like we were the most important people in the room. And
True story.
so yeah, I mean when you go on vacation, that's the kind of reception you'd like to get when
Yeah.
you're going to a resort or wherever it is you're going. And how many stories when people go to a restaurant in some other town, and we just kind of got snubbed by everybody. For sure, don't go back.
Sure. You don't have a relationship there.
Right.
You're an innovative thinker. When Visit Wabash County started doing their Halloween event, their cocktail sometime in October, and we did some things with the Haunted Trail in Lagro, you thought, gosh, let's partner and make this an even bigger event. And
Right.
you've launched your own Halloween party in
Yeah, it was-
Lagro that partners with the trolley. And so that innovative thinking is saying, how can we continue to elevate experiences maybe
Oh,
that
absolutely.
have
It's-
existed in the past?
And I think we did that the first time, I think it was last year. Well, we've partnered, I know, in the past with because Lagro always had their haunted trail weekend or haunted house
Yeah.
weekend.
Yes.
Where we do a lot of the trunk or treats and convert the community building into a scare factory almost, and
Yeah, they have a haunted school.
a haunted school.
Yeah.
And but this last year is when the Speakeasy got involved, and we said, well, let's maybe rent out this one barn and we'll have our own little haunted Halloween party. And we did it more of adults only, because I think adults like to cut loose just like the kids do sometimes.
Well,
and,
at that time, I think the kids should have been in bed.
right. Yeah,
Right?
it was
Yeah.
a little later in the evening.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do the haunted Halloween tour, and it's like, well, they're already here in town. let's give them something else to have fun with so
Yeah.
they can, again, hopefully they'll want to do it again next year. And it was just such a great time.
It
And
was.
let's bring our friends again, and we'll, have a bigger event. And,
We appreciate you always thinking innovatively on also not isolate. You're not only thinking what can just be good for my business. You are always inviting more people to be partners, more people to collaborate with on events and projects. And so from the team at Visit Wabash County and the board, thank you for that. I
well,
mean that.
thank you.
Where do you see Lagro in 10 years? If you could make anything happen, what would you like to see for Lagro in the next decade?
I'd definitely like to see building back more of our housing. Over the years, just, I mean, we still have a lot of properties that are just vacant or abandoned houses. People have moved on with their lives, but, nobody's really stepped in to fill that void of where they were. So, yeah, I'd definitely like to see a lot of our community build back with housing, bringing back more families, some younger folks. Again, build that community level back up. Like when we lost our manufacturing years ago, that just kind of went in decline. Obviously, a lot of people had to move away to go find another job.
Right.
But I think we've kind of reinvented ourselves enough to where it's like, we don't have to be the manufacturing town. We could be the nice little cute bedroom community and either drive to Wabash to work or wherever else that job might take us.
And remote worker.
And remote, yeah, especially now with technology and all the things of that nature, working remotely from home. But yeah, in 10 years, I'd like to see a little bit more economic development as far as retail and things like that. Maybe even another restaurant or two in Lagro would be nice. Again, just to give people options. But yeah, I'd like to see some of those abandoned properties or vacant properties. I'd like to see houses back on them again. I can remember when the houses used to be there and when they got tore down. It'd be nice to see those kind of come back and, yeah, bring more members back into our community. So I think it's starting to happen.
For the listeners, we'll have links to the 950 Speakeasy at Bistro. We'll have the Riparian House, the Town of Lagro, all hyperlinked in our show notes if you want to learn more about what's going on in Lagro. Justin, if you had a word of advice for someone listening, because we know we have a local audience that's listening to this podcast, but we know that there are others outside of our community that are being inspired, and that's part of our storytelling is to share the vulnerable struggles, but also help inspire those. So if you have someone who's listening and they're in a really small, 150 in town and 600 in the township. That's pretty small.
Right.
And they're just trying to figure out, where do we start? If you think back a decade ago where it started in Lagro.
Right.
If someone's listening and say, gosh, I just don't even know where to start, what bit of advice would you give them?
I guess, I'd definitely start with what's your idea? What is it that you want to see or you want to do with yourself and your own investment, or even being a part of the community? And I guess I would say, like the Speakeasy, it's like, I've always thought about doing it, but having the ability to take a risk, I guess. If you're not willing to take the risk, then you're assured nothing will ever happen. You'll never get anywhere with that, whatever idea that was. So definitely don't be afraid to take a risk. Realizing there are people around you that will help you and guide you to the direction you want to go. And and just kind of pursue those little dreams or avenues. And it's, if you don't pursue it, it's never going to happen.
And maybe even, too, I heard you say it sounded like a lot of community conversations around ideas, identifying what needed to be done. And then it just became this snowball that just kept going.
Yeah, and I think that stems back to just getting involved in your community. I mean, if you're not involved in your community, you're not going to know what is needed, or what blank needs to be filled, kind of a thing.
Even you, though, you chose to take the time to identify it. So I think you're right. Getting involved in your community makes a huge difference.
Right.
Because you made that choice, right? You made that choice. Then you were thinking what risks then were ahead of you. But you wouldn't have known if you'd have just clocked out at work and went home every night and
absolutely.
didn't think outside of what could this actually mean and be to generations to
come.
Oh,
there was definitely a choice. I could either say, I'm just going to do my 9 to 5 and hopefully somebody else will come along to do the things that I would like to see done, or I can try to do it myself and make it a reality. So,
And rally. You rallied. I mean, not only you, but you started this momentum, and along with the Lagro Canal Foundation and now the Wabash River Trail, you rallied. You called. You put out like the bat signal in the sky and Lagro
Right.
and said, "Look, people, I'm willing to step up and do a risk. Now we need to get more people involved in this because I'm going to walk this, but I can't do it alone." And
Right.
others started to hear it and see it, and they responded. And it just took that voice to stand up and say it loud enough, like, all right, I'll take the risk.
Right. Well, and I think that was a little bit of that leading by example. It's like, well, how can I expect other investors to want to spend their money and their time and energy to do something in this community if I'm not willing to do it myself? So for me, that was a good, if you want to call it a selling point to try to get others involved. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I put my money where my mouth is, and
How about you walk alongside me now?
yeah, exactly. And how about you jump in the water and let's do this together and be a part of this?
You have been great, too, to help if others have reached out and said, okay, how did you do this? What was step A? What was step B? Who did you talk to next? Who should I talk to next? So if someone's listening or watching this episode and they want to get into contact with you, I assume you'd be happy to help no matter where they are.
No, I'm always happy to answer any questions or
Learn from your mistakes.
yeah, and that's another thing. Learn from my mistakes. I made a lot of them, and hindsight's always 20/20. But again, that's another thing. Don't let those type of things scare you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur. I mean, you're gonna make mistakes.
Yep.
That's a given. But it's, are you willing to overcome those mistakes, learn from them, and keep walking forward and keep pursuing what it is you're wanting to do?
You got to take the shot, right?
Yeah.
If your target is completely smooth with no missed, shots at the target, hitting that bullseye, that's failure. Is just a perfect target with no shots taken.
Oh, absolutely.
And you learn and you grow within those things. And I think I'm ever so grateful to watch you lean in and help others whenever they've reached out to you with questions or, hey, we're thinking about doing it this way. Did that work for you? What should we avoid? And so we'll have your contact information as well as in our show notes too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always willing to sit down and have the conversation, and if there's something
Maybe
I can
over a
always do to
drink.
help.
Maybe
Yeah,
over
maybe
a
over a
drink.
drink at Speakeasy, yeah, or something like that, yeah.
Any final thoughts for anyone listening today about the way that they can view their community?
Yeah, I just think, don't be afraid to take pride in your community. I mean, it's where you're from. Be proud of it. I mean, even if it's not everything there that is picturesque as you'd like it to be, if that's the case, well, yeah, get involved and help tweak that image or help bring the things in that you want to bring in. But ultimately, it's like I said, it's where you're from. You might as well have some pride in it. And if nothing else, you're always going to have good stories, hopefully, about where you live and what you grew up with and the people around you. So, yeah, I mean, even if people decide to move away, it's like, well, home is home. You can always come back and visit, kind of a thing too. So
You'll be surprised the number of people who step up and want to support new projects, big ideas, crazy ideas, but just if you're willing to take that risk. That's honestly what we think about this podcast. This podcast was a huge risk.
Sure.
And it is supported by individuals like Mark and Amy Ford, who Dream Big.
Oh, 100%.
Sandy Kunkel Trust, Lisa Gilman Investment Fund,
Yep.
Paperworks, the Community Foundation of Wabash County, the City of Wabash, and Visit Wabash County.
Right.
You think about a list of organizations and people who look at what's possible and them leaning into something like this that we've never done before. So we're super appreciative of sponsors like that as well.
Yeah, and 100%. And going back to LCF, it's that whole organization. Nobody knew what we were doing going into that.
Right.
And
One property, one goal at a time.
100%. They're like, do you know what you're doing? No, but we're going to try it this way. What do we got to lose? Nothing. I mean, if we fall down, we're going to get back up, dust ourselves off, and try something else. But
That's the life lesson, I think. Dust yourself off and try it again.
100%. So,
Justin, thank you.
yep, thank you for having me.
I mean it. Thank you for sharing such a passion and a dedication. Going back to, you have such grit that you're not going to give up. You do love that 46941 zip code, right?
Right.
Generationally.
Sure.
But I do want to thank you for what you're doing to change and impact Wabash County as a whole, and especially the town of Lagro. And I know it's not just you, but you've given a lot, so thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, until next time, I'm Christine Floor, and this is Thrive in Wabash County.